Holy cow, guys. So the number one overall pick in the NFL draft has been traded away to the Carolina Panthers. And look, there's a lot of quarterbacks in this draft class. There's a lot of opinions about who's the best, but there are several quarterbacks, mostly being CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Levis, as well as Anthony Richardson. Those are kind of the four guys. And look, we have a couple teams in the AFC South that really want quarterbacks. The Texans had the number one overall pick the whole entire season, and at the very last minute, Lovie Smith gave that up, and they moved back to number two, allowing the Chicago Bears to have the number one overall pick, and that really screwed them in a way because now they're not going to be able to get their shot at their own quarterback. And now the Carolina Panthers have moved in front of them. Now, what did the Panthers give up? They gave up their number 9 overall pick, obviously, because they're moving up. Pick number 61, which is a second rounder, end of the second round. They gave up their first round pick in next year. They gave up a second round pick in 2025. And they also gave up wide receiver DJ Moore in the process. So, the Bears are a team that really need wide receiver. They made the trade for Chase Claypool last year. We'll see if that works out. Didn't do very good in 2022, but there's still some time for that one. But DJ Moore, a really, really good receiver. I think he was very frustrated in Carolina because, look, the Carolina Panthers have been through the quarterback carousel, man. I mean, ever since kind of letting go of Cam Newton, they've brought in just all kinds of guys from, they've had Sam Darnold in there. They've had PJ Walker. They've had Baker Mayfield. They even brought back Cam Newton at one point. They had Teddy Bridgewater, just the whole quarterback carousel. And it's time for them to say, you know what, we need to go ahead and draft our guy. And ironically enough, they could have drafted Justin Fields, but they decided to pass on him. They went out and got a cornerback. I forget what the cornerback was, but they drafted a cornerback over him. And now the Panthers with new ownership, or with a new head coach, they're going to go out there and they made a move to bring in what they are going to be a quarterback. So now what that does is it bumps the Texans and the Colts back. At this point, it was, I believe, the way the draft shaken out. I probably should have looked at this before. I think it was the Texans number 2. It was definitely the Texans number 2. Number 3, I believe, was the Arizona Cardinals. And number 4 was the Indianapolis Colts. So you looked at that and said, if everything stays the way it is now and there's no trades, Texans will get their number 1 guy, and then the Colts will get their number 2 guy. But now it's going to bump back a little bit. Now, one of these quarterbacks is going to be off the board for, the Texans. And then for the Colts, 2 of those guys are going to be off the board. So I love seeing this. I love seeing a team go up there and really push the rest of the guys back. We'll see what quarterback it ends up being. But it's going to be a lot of fun, man, because I really think that, drafts are a lot more fun when there's quarterbacks in play. But, we're very well going to have 3 quarterbacks going in the top 4. And at this moment, we have no idea who they are. And look, I can only imagine being a fan of them at this point, especially if you're a Colts fan, because you have no idea who you're going to get. And this draft anticipation is going to kill you. I know I've been in drafts in years past where just a pre-draft anticipation where you have no idea who you're going to get when you're drafting like number 3 overall, it kills you. Right now, my pre-draft anticipation isn't really here just because I think it's so far away and the Jaguars are drafting so far back. We're not getting a quarterback, and, we just came off a good season. So we're kind of taking a break from football right now where we haven't been in draft mode since, November. The Jaguars tried to. They tried to go 2-6 and kind of get us in that draft mode, but, we quickly turned it around. But, fascinating stuff. Happened pretty early on. Maybe they could have gone, trading back to number 9, that's a pretty far trade back. But I think throwing in the extra player in the mix, I'm surprised it wasn't another first-round pick. It does seem a little bit far to move back for the draft compensation, or for the compensation they got for it. But, right now it's going to be a desperate wide receiver market for teams that really want a game-changing number 1 wide receiver. A lot of trades are probably going to happen, but, we'll see how this plays out. Let me know your thoughts. Go Jags.